Welcome in to the 48 Minutes podcast on Believe. I'm Ross Geiger, the former NBA video coordinator, and I'm joined alongside Bruce Bernstein, our four-time Emmy Award winner, who spent more than 3 decades at ESPN producing NBA shows, SportsCenter, and soaking up knowledge from the best hoop analysts in the business. This is episode number 193, the Noah Penda episode, as the 32nd overall pick in this past year's draft, whereas number 93 for the Orlando Magic. And Bruce, I don't know about you, but I wish World B was here because I wonder what he could tell us about Penda's game.
A lot more than I could because I got nothing.
I don't have much myself here, but we'll have to stay tuned and get back with World B on a future episode to see what he can tell us about Noah Penda. But what we do know, Bruce, is the first week of the NBA season is now completed, and there are some things that we learned, and there are still some things out there that we haven't. And unfortunately here, to start things off, I just wanted to get the bad stuff out of the way here. Let's start off with what we learned earlier last week, and that is the NBA scandal that's going around that was dropped by the FBI. Just wanted to get your initial reactions to all the news that broke on this, and of course the Terry Rozier aspect, the Chauncey Billups aspect, Damon Jones, the whole nine.
Well, Ross, I'm not a big gambler and I rarely bet on sports. I'm more likely to go to the casino and play blackjack, but I'm not sure that the betting scandal would have played out as it's currently playing out if the leagues and the sports books were not in business together. Because if the NBA gives its blessing to its gaming partners to accept bets on so many prop scenarios, they're kind of complicit in this whole mess. When betting was underground, there were fewer of these prop bets made and fewer opportunities for players and gamblers to sort of manipulate injuries and information in order to steal money and compromise the integrity of the games. But now, with the league being in bed with these casinos, they have really sort of blurred the line between gambling and the sport, and the genie's out of the bottle. The crooks are always going to find ways to circumvent the rules. Drastic action really does need to be taken, but I'm not exactly sure what should be done. One thing I'm thinking about is maybe the NBA can forbid the sports books from taking action on anything other than teams winning and losing. No prop bets of any kind, but that's going to mean the end of the sponsorship money for the league, and they're going to resist that. Or will they? I mean, they're getting big money for broadcast rights, and it's probably more than they make on gambling, so they may have to just bite the bullet on this gambling revenue in order to protect their sport.
Yeah, great points there, Bruce. And along the lines of like how they could maybe, control these prop bets. What if we started with there's no unders, there's only overs? So at least if these guys, like a Jonte Porter, you can't bet his under, but he better work his ass off if he's going to grab 6 rebounds in a game in 4 minutes. I mean, I think it's just harder to tank. It's like something like you got to give maximum effort, and you don't even know if your coach is going to allow you that opportunity minutes-wise.
That is true, and that probably would make a difference. But then again, there's guys that could just, start taking bad shots to the detriment of the team. And of course, if the coach is unhappy with those, they can always pull the player out of the game. But, I think that's a good suggestion. It might be a place to start. But I think, to me, that doesn't exactly solve the problem. But I think, Ross, it's a good idea, and it maybe would help, maybe as a trial period.
Sure. Now, I want to get to a familiar name in this case to you, unfortunately, and obviously the biggest and most shocking name that was dropped in this FBI investigation. That is the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, Chauncey Billups, guy that you've worked with in the past. What were your initial thoughts when you first saw his name involved in this whole thing?
Well, sadness for one thing, because, I have the highest regards for Mr. Big Shot, but this one seems to be a little bit of a different type of scandal, in quotes, since the charges against him have more to do with card games than NBA-related shenanigans. Now, there has been some noise about him relaying information on a game from 2023 that maybe helped gamblers make some money. However, in fairness to Billups, he has not been charged with any crime regarding those allegations. Full disclosure, as you mentioned, I know Chauncey. I worked with him for several years at ESPN. I believe he's always conducted himself ethically and respected the sport. in my mind, he's innocent until proven guilty. He deserves fair treatment. The charges against him are certainly serious, but oftentimes there's more to the story than what the initial headlines seem to suggest.
Yeah, and who echoed a lot of your thoughts just the other night was the head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers, Tyronn Lue, who's been a lifelong friend of Chauncey's, and he stands by Billup's side until the innocent is proven guilty as well. So I think we're both in the same boat here, really hoping at least the basketball side of these alleged crimes aren't true when it comes to Mr. Big Shot. But just shocking to say the least here. One last question that World Beat asked us when this first broke, and just got to ask you, do you believe there's anything to do with the Clutch Sports hoodie Chauncey was wearing out of the courtroom? Was that a coincidence at all? Or
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe, but based on his entire outfit, it looked like they pulled the guy out of bed. It looked like he was wearing sweats and like gym shorts along with the hoodie. So it might have just been like, all right, man, let me just put something on. I'm cold. So I'm not a big conspiracy theory person. I'm not going to say absolutely not, but I'm not going to jump to that conclusion.
Yeah. Interesting point raised, and definitely one that I gave some thought, but I'm right there with you. I just don't think Clutch Sports would have anything to do with this either, but who knows? I guess we'll figure it out as time goes on and the investigation unfolds.
For sure.
Now to some more positive news, Bruce. With that said, of having our first initial week of the NBA regular season in the books, I wanted to talk a little bit about the different networks that are broadcasting games this year, and wanted to get your first thoughts as a former coordinating producer at ESPN. What are your first impressions, and did anyone stand out from the games that you watched over the course of the first week?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of take them, in order and start with ESPN. I mean, inside the NBA, which migrated over from TNT Sports, looks pretty much the same as it did on TNT, and that's a win for all of us. I mean, Don't mess around with something that works so well. Now, our buddy Tim Legler and Richard Jefferson joined Mike Breen on the A team, and they seemed right at home together in the first game that I watched. Under Tim Corrigan and Mike McQuaid, those guys couldn't oversee a bad NBA show if they tried. They're just too talented and too smart about the game. And adding inside to their package strengthens an already legendary NBA production operation. Now, I'd love to talk a little bit about Prime Video.
Okay.
I think their studio show has really good potential. I mean, Blake Griffin's going to be the breakout star of that crew. There's no doubt in my mind. His humor, his presence, his ability to communicate in a concise way stamp him as the must-watch guy on their panel. Now, in their opening night, that they were right in the thick of the whole Terry Rozier deal, and having Udonis Haslem on the show that night to address the Terry Rozier situation was great good fortune for my friend Amina Hussein, who built that crew. Although Udonis's comments were kind of, predictable, it still matters that Prime had his voice on the story. The Heat organization can be very tight-lipped at times, so having a family member addressing Rozier was a big win for Prime, because otherwise nobody was going to be talking from the Heat. The game broadcast featured a little bit too much talk from Stan Van Gundy. I mean, I love his enthusiasm, but STFU once in a while, Stan. Comment when necessary, but don't feel like every play needs a comment. I mean, Ian Eagle and Kevin Harlan sound just like they did on TNT. They're great. Both are great listens. Cassidy Hubbard handled the Adam Silver interview very well. Cass is a good friend, a total pro, not only smart and gracious, but she is so good at asking a tough question with intelligence and sensitivity. What were your thoughts about those two? And then I'd love to talk a little bit about NBC. What were you thinking about what you saw?
You know what's funny is I had the first two ranked the same as you. I think I put Amazon number one, Prime Video, just because I'm a huge fan of the new talent that we're seeing. I think it's exciting to see a guy like Blake Griffin. As you said, I think he's a rising star in the broadcast profession. Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki, obviously they're best buds. Steve Nash has a lot to offer, not only as a Hall of Fame player, but as a coach. Obviously, that was a short-lived coaching career, but at the same time, he now has that perspective to go ahead and share with us all. And of course, he's been branching out with his media appearances, hosting a podcast with LeBron James as well. And then, of course, Candace Parker, she has always been one of my faves. When she was at Turner Sports, I thought she was did an outstanding job. For her to be back on an NBA set, giving her perspective, I think is a great balance, and great to get some female representation there, because she definitely knows ball. And then for ESPN, you kind of summed up my thoughts with them. I mean, Legs being promoted to the A team is just flat out huge. I mean, we are getting spoiled having Tim Legler calling the majority of the big games for ESPN this season. And the fact that we got him on twice during the opening week was just an absolute treat for NBA hoop heads like myself that enjoy the breakdowns that he gives us on the spot, on the money, and are always things that seem to come into play later on in that game too.
Yeah, and Legs also mentioned, hey, would you like to have me back on again at some point? It's like, let me think about it. Yes.
Yeah, never going to turn him down. That's for sure.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. So, Bruce, what did you have on NBC? Curious to get your thoughts on them.
Well, for years, I mean, they were like the Michael Jordan years, the Magic Johnson years. I mean, and they busted out of the gate with that nostalgia and the iconic theme music, Round Ball Rock. Their announcers, Baby Bird, Noah Eagle, has his daddy Ian's DNA as a play-by-play guy, and his potential is just so huge. Yeah. I heard Noah on NBA radio actually on today, I think Monday, and he said they're using their two analysts in a way that I find quite smart. If analyst number one comments on why a play worked, analyst number two is going to focus on explaining why the other team was unsuccessful in stopping that play. Oh. So I think that's pretty cool. It sounds simple, but doing it properly is going to be really educational to hardcore fans and will make, more casual fans a lot smarter. So good job out of them. Good philosophy. I think they're going to be great.
Yeah, and I thought Noah Eagle had great chemistry with Grant Hill in his first couple games with the network as well. And I don't know about you, but hearing Mike Tirico back as a classic NBA voice was cool too. And his sit down with Michael Jordan was exceptionally awesome too. Just hearing MJ once again. I feel like no matter what MJ says, he sounds cool. I mean, he was talking about running out an Airbnb and taking photos, and then was super nervous to shoot a free throw. And of course he swished it. But like, just the fact that like Michael Jordan, he could tell me a story about going to the gas station and pumping gas into his car. And I'd be like, wow, that was an awesome story. That's why he's the GOAT.
And he and Tirico both looked like they had on matching sneakers, which I don't know if they were, but they were both like, right out of the box clean. I mean, they look good. So yeah, I mean, look, Tirico's great. I mean, I've worked with him for many, many years. I think the world of him. And I think that with the MJ interview, he did the best he could. I mean, Michael Jordan is never going to be, the guy who's going to like say something from like deep in his heart. He's going to give you the superficial stuff. But as you said, just hearing the guy, lends your show a certain sort of stature or cachet, whatever you want to call it. So just being, sometimes just showing up is enough when you're Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. He said, Mike Tirico asked him, why are you doing this now? And he's like, I feel like I owe it to the game. I need to give back to the game. And I really would love to ask MJ, or I hope they ask him at some point, like, what makes him do that now, though? Like, did he realize he wasn't giving much back to the game? He hasn't been present for the NBA or its fans, its younger fans that are now growing and learning to love this league. Like, I'm just curious, what made right now, like what was the calling that made him be like, I need to give back more? I would be fascinated to hear his response to that, because of course there's other guys and legends, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. He did it from day one of retirement. Kobe Bryant wanted to give back. We didn't get that from Jordan when he retired officially after his Wizards days, but soon, I mean, better late than never, as the saying goes. Getting MJ back and hopefully around for this full season should be a treat. And I'm definitely not going to miss any of those sit downs or anything Michael Jordan has to say, because he's just the coolest when he speaks. So
yeah, I don't think he did it for the money. I don't think he needed the money.
No, I think he's just fine with his Jordan brand deal and all the money that he makes in his other endeavors. So I think you got a good point there. Now, moving on to the actual performances on the court, Bruce. I mean, we got to start off with Victor Wembanyama he and his Spurs had a monster first week, and he was named, and rightfully so, the NBA's Western Conference Player of the Week. And my first question for you here, you can talk about the numbers if you'd like, but can you believe some of his first half highlights are even real?
No, I mean, it's like he's like this big giraffe out there. I mean, it's like he's playing against guys, and he can look down on the top of their heads. I mean, he can dunk without even jumping. I mean, look, I went out on a limb when we were doing our bold predictions show. I said going into the season, I thought the Spurs would win 50, Victor would win Defensive Player of the Year, and also win the MVP award. Well, look, it's only 3 games. But he's electrified the league. I mean, he scored 100 points in the first 3 games. He's 33 and 33.3 points a game, tied for 6th with Steph Curry. 13.3 rebounds, second behind Giannis, and 6 blocks per game. Number 1 by a mile. Yeah. The Spurs are second best in points allowed, lead the NBA in opponents' field goal percentage. And did I say they're also 3-0? Look, De'Aaron Fox has yet to even suit up. Stephon Castle and rookie Dylan Harper are playing lights out. They lead the league. The Spurs lead the league in rebound differential, block shot differential, scoring differential. He's the first player in NBA history with 100 points and 18 blocks in the first 3 games of the season. All I got left is, to quote the late, great Stuart Scott, booyah.
Yeah, booyah is right. And you talk about the 6 blocks per game that he's currently averaging. Wemby has actually recorded more blocks than 2/3 of the NBA teams combined. It's unbelievable. Like what he's been doing out there on the floor. I had a chance to watch Sunday's game at home against the Brooklyn Nets. And he had that sequence where he blocked 2 shots on 1 defensive possession, came down the other side as the trailing big man, just inside the logo, popped a 3 and drilled it. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then the ball handling's improved. He's breaking guys down off the dribble now in one-on-one scenarios. He's handling double teams much better than he did last year. And obviously he's going to see more in those. And soon we might even see triple teams more often with him and just forcing other guys to shoot the rock. But just the way he's handled the defensive pressure, the adjustments teams are making from quarter to quarter, and the way he's handling himself too, I think just the post-game interviews have really blown me away. The one that really stood out to me, and I was one of the biggest skeptics of, no one worked harder than me this offseason. I was like, well, you bet those are powerful words. You better back that up. Well, he's backing that up. And then, recently he said, when I got hurt last year and had to sit out with, the deep vein fibrosis, I'm not taking this for granted anymore. And that was a powerful statement. And it seems like he certainly is not. I mean, this guy is going out there on a night-to-night basis and giving it 110% and not taking anything for granted. So it's been really fun to watch Wemby. And what's crazy is we're still just getting started. I mean, he's only going to get better from here. So keep an eye on Wembanyama and the Spurs.
Oh, definitely. I mean, last week, Legs kind of poo-pooed me and others who thought the Spurs had 50 win potential. I don't know. I mean, right now in the game against Toronto, again, as we're recording on Monday night, there's about a minute left in the third quarter, and they're up by 19 points. So, they're well on their way to going 4-0. Interestingly, Wemby's played 22 minutes, no block shots, but he does have 14 rebounds, and, Toronto's shooting like 42% from the floor. So, his presence is felt whether he ever blocks a shot or not. So, yeah. It's they're my league pass team this season. Those are my guys after my other guys.
Yeah, that was a good call there, and we're going to get to your other guys right after this. All right, we're back here on 48 minutes, and let's go ahead and get to what we haven't learned yet so far this season after 1 week of play, and that is these teams, because are they slow starts or potentially long years ahead? And we're going to start off with the Boston Celtics, who are 0-3 with losses to the Sixers during their home opener and 2 road losses to the Knicks and Pistons. All the losses came within a 10-point spread to 2 legitimate playoff teams in the Knicks and Pistons. And then the Sixers, who were a team that we always knew could potentially be really good this season if they could stay healthy or, bounce back from last year's disappointment. So I'm curious to get your thoughts, Bruce, as our fellow Celtics fan here on the podcast. Are you holding on to some optimism or not much to be had?
Boston is a horrible rebounding team. It's really simple. I said going into the season, this was going to be their, shortcoming, that and interior defense. The interior defense part, I mean, they play solid D until the ball bounces off the rim and they let their opponents grab way too many offensive rebounds. They allow more offensive rebounds than any team in the league so far, 16.7 per game. I mean, the next worst team is the Clippers at 15.3. And, overall, the Celtics are 29th out of 30 teams in total rebounds differential. Only Sacramento's worse. They do play hard. I'll give them that. They're tied for third best in the NBA in opponents' field goal percentage, 42%, with the Pistons trailing, they're tied with the Pistons trailing only the Spurs and Bulls. But allowing all those second chances is absolutely crushing them. And if they don't make a move for some stud rebounder, this is going to be a really long season. They're going up against New Orleans on Monday night. I haven't seen the score for a little bit. They were up at the half. So
it's 87-78 at the start of the fourth quarter.
And Boston's ahead?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see if they can hang on. I mean, it's not like New Orleans is anything all that great either, but
no.
Yeah, we'll see what they got if they can close one out.
Yeah. And speaking of a team that can't close any out, that is the Indiana Pacers, who are now 0-3, and they got off to a pretty promising start to the season. And I mentioned, of course, not closing out. That was against the Oklahoma City Thunder in a NBA Finals rematch at home for their home opener this season. They went to 2 overtimes, but just couldn't get the job done against the reigning NBA champs. But they then hit the road after that, losing by 25 to a beaten-up Grizzlies squad, and then followed that up with a loss to Minnesota team on Sunday that didn't have Anthony Edwards. So things aren't looking too hot in Indy, are they, Bruce?
No, I mean, but this is expected. I mean, Again, they and Boston were kind of in the same boat. Benedict Mathurin has had a good opportunity to put up some numbers. Hasn't really translated into wins. Pascal Siakam is still, an outstanding all-star caliber player. But look, I mean, their engine isn't there. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is the guy that makes it all work. And as long as he's not there and nobody else can come close to giving him what he gives them, it's going to be a long season for those guys. It's just that they and Boston they're still in the same boat as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And the Pacers are now dealing with even more injuries. TJ McConnell's out hurt. Andrew Nembhard's out hurt. Benedict Mathurin, who got off to a strong start, scoring 36 points in his first game, he's now hurt. So the beat just rolls on here for Rick Carlisle and his staff to try to get creative with their rotation at the moment. Next up, we've got the New Orleans Pelicans shifting out west. They are 0-2. And Bruce, I want you to be the judge if I'm picking on the Pelicans, which of course is pretty easy to do these days because, I mean, the one thing they have going for him is the fact Zion Williamson has been balling out this year so far. He's led the team in points, rebounds, and assists in each of their first 2 games. Yet they're still without a win. And as I just reported, they're down 9 points to start the fourth quarter against your Celtics here tonight. So as it stands now, they might be going 0-3. So if Zion keeps this up, playing at a high level, do you see the season forecast changing in New Orleans, or do they just not have enough firepower?
Well, Zion missed the game Monday night against Boston. He didn't play. So, here we are. I mean, I don't know if he's injured. I mean, it's kind of early for load management nights off. So early. I don't know. I mean, he looked really good in the preseason. It looked like he dropped around 30 pounds, it even, he showed off some of his passing skills, but I just, I still feel like New Orleans is like, one of the bottom 3 teams in the West, and that's if they kind of play to their potential. Any team with Jordan Poole on it, to me, is a team that I don't think is going to be very good, aside from the fact that he did win a chip in Golden State. And then, Draymond Green punched him in the face and he was soon gone. So, yeah, I mean, I have no faith at all in New Orleans. I mean, Jeremiah Fears hasn't looked horrible. He's had his moments, and Derek Queen, who World B has made the butt of a joke because of that trade that they made to move up to grab him. He's actually been decent. So,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, New Orleans is like, it's a great town to, go get a meal in.
I agree. I'm selling all my Pelican stock despite Zion's strong start to the season. I just don't see this team really amounting to anything this year in the Western Conference. But as of now, it's yet to be determined, just given the strong start to Zion and some of the other core pieces that they have. Because there is some talent with this group, but as you said, I'm not betting on a team with Jordan Poole on it. That's for sure.
Yes, agreed.
Now, staying out west, we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns, who are 1-2, and I'm going to come off as sounding like a Suns hater here, but I promise I'm not a Suns hater this year. But their only win so far came against the Sacramento Kings in their home opener, which they overcame a 20-point deficit. And if they hadn't been playing the Kings, they'd certainly be 0-3 to start this season. So it's almost like I consider them 0-3 because I watched that first game against the Kings. Now, their two losses that they actually have on the season came against two of Western Conference top teams that we had going into the year, and that is the Clippers and the Nuggets. But they lost both of those games by at least 22 points apiece. So it wasn't like those were competitive outings against two of the top teams. So am I being too harsh, Bruce, or do you see any way this Suns team can put together at least a respectable season?
Well, if by respectable you mean can they win like 35 games? I don't think so. No. Okay. When we were doing the over-unders on them, I think we all pretty much took the under on them. I mean, they're just, maybe they're close to kind of finally bottoming out. I mean, because really, with losing Beal and losing Durant, I mean, Devin Booker's still there and, he's great and all that, but they have a rookie coach. I don't really, I don't even see them challenge. I mean, look, based on what I've seen from Utah in their first two games, which were, not bad. I mean, Utah even looks better than them right now. So What more do I need to say?
Yeah. And what's funny is the Suns are visiting the Utah Jazz here tonight. That one's tied up 59 apiece as it's almost nearing halftime in that one. So maybe this one will give us the clarity we need because, of course, if the Suns can't beat Utah, then case closed. They're not going to be a respectable team this year, and we can move on from that. Now, next up, we've got the Dallas Mavericks. And my question to you, Bruce, is what do we make of head coach Jason Kidd and the Dallas Mavericks electing to play first overall pick Cooper Flagg at point guard to start the season, a season in which they've started 1-2?
Well, it took Cooper Flagg all of 3 games to give us like a signature moment when he posterized Sandro Mamukilishvili on Sunday night against the Raptors. I mean, Flagg played point guard in the game, had 0 turnovers in 29 minutes, 22 points, 8 out of 14 from the floor, 4 boards, 4 assists, and the Mavs won their first game to improve to 1-2. D'Angelo Russell, who was expected to kind of play point until Kyrie, was returning later in the season, came off the bench, scored 24 with 6 assists and 3 steals. So while Flagg played well at the point, it's not going to be his position when Kyrie returns. And it may be PJ Washington, whose minutes may be most affected at that point if Flagg forces his way into the starting lineup. I mean, but what a great problem for Jason Kidd to have. I mean, if Anthony Davis stays healthy, continues to average 24 and 12 as he's done in the early going, Dallas, to me, is a team that will keep improving, keep growing, and probably peak at the right time late in the season when Irving returns. And even if they just make the play-in tournament, and maybe they'll do better than that, they're going to be dangerous if Kyrie comes back healthy. I mean, you're not going to want to play them.
No, not at all. That will not be a legit play-in team when Kyrie Irving comes back. They're going to have some firepower, and Cooper Flagg's going to have a full regular season under his belt at that point. But I just wanted to chime in on the point guard assignment here for Cooper Flagg out of the gates, because as someone who was there for Jason Kidd's takeover in Milwaukee when he became the Bucks head coach, he first experimented starting Giannis at point guard in the Las Vegas Summer League, which I was part of the Bucks coaching staff for. So having that experience and those memories, I'm not surprised at all that see Jay Kidd doing it again with such a talented young star like Cooper Flagg, where he sees a ton of potential in him. My only question with that is, why didn't we see that in Summer League with Cooper Flagg? They're waited till the regular season to enroll this with Cooper. And I just don't understand why we didn't see more flashes of that during the summer league. And I tried to watch a lot of those Flagg summer league games, and our listeners can correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm missing out on clips of where he was bringing the ball up and, playing primary point guard, but didn't see most of that. So I just felt the timing was a little off, but definitely not surprised to see Jay Kidd doing something a little more unpopular with most traditional coaches.
Well, look, I mean, he seems to me like a guy, Cooper Flagg, that is. He's just got the all-around game. I mean, he can play above the rim. He's, seems like a pretty good defensive player, very good passer, scorer. I mean, look, there's been some really good rookies, and I know, we're going to talk about them at some point. But I mean, as good as the other ones have been, I don't know that any of them are Cooper Flagg.
No, none of them are Cooper Flagg. And that dunk he had on Mamu this past weekend was quite nasty. Now, next up, we wanted to talk about those rookies. And, Cooper Flagg is not the only hot rookie in town right now. There are quite a few guys out there making a name for themselves. You mentioned one earlier during the Wemby conversation, Bruce, and that is Dylan Harper. He had another strong performance on Sunday against the Brooklyn Nets, 20 points, 8 assists off the bench, giving them nice production off Mitch Johnson's bench there. He definitely has a ton of talent. VJ Edgecombe torched your Boston Celtics during Boston's home opener, putting up a historic 36 points in his first regular season game in his debut, which was quite impressive. And then Cedric Coward of the Memphis Grizzlies, he has been putting up 20-point nights here to start the season and has really given them a boost as most of their regular starting rotation has been out hurt yet again this year.
I mean, Coward is averaging 19 points in just 23 minutes in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean, 6'6" guard from Washington State. He was actually drafted by Portland and immediately traded to Memphis for Yang Han Sen, a 2027 second-round pick and 2028 first and second-round picks. So they were, Memphis really wanted this guy, and it kind of looks like maybe this is Desmond Bane 2.0 for those guys. He likes to shoot it from outside. He's shooting almost 73% from downtown. 73% from downtown. 70% overall from the floor. So yeah, he's been tremendous. Edgecombe, in that first game, watching his ability to score and just how quick and fast he is, I was getting like, Derrick Rose feels when I was watching that guy a little bit. I mean, doesn't play jump as high as D Rose did back when he was a rookie. But boy, oh boy, that guy's a blur. And as you mentioned, his opening night point total was the most by a rookie in their first game since Wilt Chamberlain in 1959. And, along with Tyrese Maxey, boy, I mean, how are you going to guard those, somebody's going to kill you on any given night. That's just the way it is. And Dylan Harper, man, I mean, number 2 overall pick. Wemby gets most of the shine. I get that. But this dude has been a beast so far. He's averaging 16, 5, and 4 in just 26 minutes. His aggressiveness has been impressive. He does have a little bit of a tendency to foul, like a lot of rookies. He's averaging almost 5 personals, and that's probably why he isn't playing even more minutes. But when De'Aaron Fox returns from his injury, Harper could either become a killer off the bench, unless he ends up starting over Stephon Castle alongside Fox. Good times in San Antonio, that's for sure.
Really good times, and it's crazy to say, but like the Spurs aren't even missing De'Aaron Fox at this point. Like there hasn't been one point where I've watched their games or seen their box scores and be like, man, could they really use De'Aaron Fox right now? And the fact that he's going to be coming back here shortly, it's just such a luxury for this group moving forward, because I think he's only going to help add a spark to this team with his quickness and obviously his veteran presence at the point guard position. But yeah, should be interesting to see how Mitch Johnson decides to work that guard play, mixing in both Castle and Dylan Harper. That's going to be a tough decision for him to do, because you got to keep other shooters out there like Julian Champagnie, Harrison Barnes. You need some of those shooting threats out there for when the Wemby double or triple teams come his way. He's going to have to kick it, swing it around the horn, and you need guys that can knock down those open 3 balls. So Devin Vassell should be mentioned there as well as one of those shooters.
For sure.
Now we've been talking a lot about scoring. Obviously, you brought up VJ Edgecombe, but let's talk about just some of these big performances out of the gates. And we had another one on Sunday night with Austin Reeves dropping 51 points in the Lakers' road win on Sunday against the Kings in Sacramento. And that brings this year's 50-ball total up to 3 players, as SGA and Aaron Gordon are already in the club for 50 points. So let's have some fun here tonight, Bruce. And which player do we think will be next to join the 50-ball club this season?
My pick is Tyrese Maxey of Philadelphia. Okay. I think Friday night against the Celtics in Philly
could be the one.
that might be the one. The Sixer fans, as you know, hate Boston. They'll be out for blood against Boston. So if you're in the 215 on Friday, go buy a seat and watch some history. But I want to say a word about Austin Reeves because I have a new nickname. Little drum roll, please. I know. Austin Reeves, as you mentioned, joined the club on Sunday with his 51. Now, one of the best nicknames in NBA history was Andrei Kirilenko, also known as AK-47, a Russian-made assault rifle. Now, the way Reeves has been shooting, I'm nicknaming him AR-15 after an American-made assault rifle. I know it's sketchy. I agree, due to the way that weapon has been used in mass shootings, which is, obviously a tragedy. But I really like the nickname, and I hope it's not considered offensive. Reeves also had 11 rebounds and 9 assists, by the way, in that 51-point game. The first Laker with a 50, 11, and 9 game since, wait for it, Hall of Famer Elgin Baylor in 1963.
Jeez. Taking us back there with that historical fact. But yeah.
Do you hate the nickname, Ross? Do you hate the nickname?
No, I like it. I think it's a good play on his jersey number, which obviously, I'm a huge fan of jersey numbers. I mean, I've only been doing them for 194 episodes now. So obviously I like it. I think it's good. I think it should definitely stick. And, I think as long as we're, of course, using it in the context of basketball for Austin Reeves, it could be one that could be a lot of fun. But obviously some off the court things that unfortunate situations with that as well. But no, I think that's great. And he has been playing great, and he's going to have to continue to be playing at a high level with Luka Doncic now hurt, joining LeBron James on the IR to start their season. So do you think that the Lakers are going to be able to keep this up, or do you think this is a team that we should have added to our, could it be a long season, Bruce? Do you think this could be a long season for the Lakers?
I mean, the bar is set so high in LA. I mean, if they don't at least go to the conference finals, the season is considered a failure for them. And I don't think they're going to the conference finals. I mean, but this is a big chance for DeAndre Ayton to resurrect his career because, in the absence of LeBron and Luka, and Luka's going to miss probably 3 more games, right? So, he's it's a big chance for Ayton. It's a big chance for Marcus Smart, also, who came over and probably was thinking, all right, I'm going to be the third guard and maybe, whatever. Here's his chance now, over the next few games, one of which is going to be against his former team in Memphis. So Gabe Vincent also hurt himself in the recent game against Portland. So really, Ayton and Smart are really going to have to step up. Reeves, I think, will be okay. Look, we saw him drop 51, and he's had plenty of good games over his young career, so I'm not worried about him. But if Ayton and Smart can play well, they can keep their head above water for a little while. But, they need, who knows how long LeBron's going to be out? Nobody even really knows.
No, there's so much mystery to go with this team right now. It's really hard to gauge where they're at, where they're going to be, and, what the future holds even for LeBron past this season. So a lot of question marks, and that kind of raises some concerns and red flags for me is I just don't know. I think this could be a disappointing year as it goes on. I mean, if they keep falling lower and lower on the standings, that gives LeBron James and even Luka, if his injury is serious, and it's something that continues to nag him throughout the course of the year, maybe they take a step back this year and try to regroup next season. But hopefully that's not the case because things are just a lot more interesting and more fun in the Western Conference when LeBron and the Lakers are a part of it. And having Luka join him there too makes it for much watch TV. Now, I didn't touch on my pick for the next guy that's going to be in the 50 ball club. And, we talked about Wemby winning the NBA's Week 1 Player of the Week in the Western Conference, but we didn't talk about the guy in the Eastern Conference, and that is my guy, Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, who averaged 36 points, 16 rebounds, and 7 assists per game last week. He played in 3 games, and his highest scoring performance actually came against his toughest opponent in the week, and that was playing the Cleveland Cavaliers on the road on Sunday, where he scored 40. So I don't feel like I'm really going out on a limb here. I'm not as bold as you with the Maxey pick, but I think Giannis is due for a 50 ball real soon, especially given the fact that they're going to need his scoring production to stay in these big ball games against teams like the Cavaliers, which they did give themselves a chance to do on Sunday night. Unfortunately, fell a little bit short, but so far I've liked what I've seen from the Bucks, and of course I've loved what I've seen from Giannis, because he is off to a monster start, as I think our own World B had predicted.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Giannis is a threat for 50 on any given night, and that's in spite of the fact that he brings the ball up now and initiates the offense most of the time. If he weren't doing that, I think his scoring numbers might even be higher, because he wouldn't be spending as much energy, dribbling and, initiating, each possession. So, yeah. By the way, I did mention Maxey on Monday night. Sixers moved to 3-0, 43 for Maxey.
Wow. Look at you. You were just a day too soon, but maybe he'll have another one, maybe
He's got plenty more where that's coming from, Ross.
Okay.
You know he does.
Yeah, well, we'll have to check in on that next week and see if your prediction comes true. But you guys heard it here first on the 48 Minutes podcast from Bruce Bernstein. And with that will do it for this edition of the 48 Minutes podcast on Believe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with you later on this week to be sure you're up to date in 48 on all things around the association. Take care, everyone.